Duh.
Why are shark movies? There's a certain visceral sensationalism sharks capture that's unparalleled in the animal world. Cue Jaws and the many shark movies riding its dorsal fin to success. But even beyond film, sharks capture a lot of our attention. Shark attacks, Shark Week, sharks as symbols of human overconsumption. But why do we have such a fascination with them? On land, we have access to many different sensory cues from our environment. But in the water, we're the fish out of water. We're aliens operating on limited time before our ability to exist is called into question. We bob around in an inverted 3D field where the ground sits feet or miles below us. We're out of our element. Not so for sharks. Unlike our distant ancestors, they decided to stay in the water and perfect life in the sea. Down to a microscopic level, even their skin is well adapted. Now combine these realities with our innate fear of things that remind us how much a bag of flesh we are. We rose to our position today because of our brains, but sharks show us that in certain contexts, brain size means nothing when it comes to the struggle for existence.
What your guts understand is the hierarchy of animals in this world.
Sharks, taken as a whole, are beautiful animals. Beautiful in a way that no human could ever be. So after a lifetime of shark movies embedded within our cultural unconscious, along comes another shark movie in 2025, Dangerous Animals. Premise? A serial killer uses his victims as shark bait. All right, seems pretty 2025 to me. Meet Tucker.
Welcome aboard.
He thinks he's a shark. Or at least he believes he's the human embodiment of a shark.
We're sharks.
Tucker is a shark tour boat captain. As a kid, he was a bit of a loner. His mom didn't seem to care for him that much, but the most significant event of his childhood was his survival of a shark attack. It was from this point that Tucker's worldview came into focus.
I've been wide awake ever since.
Like many other shark attack victims, Tucker's experience didn't scare him out of the water. He has a deep respect for sharks.
You to the most misunderstood creatures on Earth.
As Tucker sees it, the shark that bit him was just maintaining the natural hierarchy of animals.
It's not the shark's fault.
So the young Tuck forms a logical chain of premises. The shark brings order to its environment as an apex predator. Without this order,
Chaos reigns and...
to maintain a healthy society, we as humans should also conserve order. It seems that the natural hierarchy of my environment is that men are the more powerful sex. Therefore, in my role as a man, I need to maintain the natural hierarchy of my environment. How do I maintain order? As the shark does, with the threat of violence. And he speaks a truth. The threat of violence from men does curtail women from challenging the status quo.
Because of this, she was worried it wasn't safe. You see, all these stories on the news about travelers and...
So, is Tucker right then?
The shark brings order.
No. In fact, Tucker's misunderstanding of sharks and the natural order is his undoing. Tucker, like all of us, searches for meaning in his life. And he develops this meaning through his own life experiences. From this, he creates a worldview that imposes a certain natural order. When he was attacked by a shark, he experienced that visceral feeling of being part of the food chain. No matter what his brain told him about his capabilities as a human, his gut understood this hierarchy. Tucker subsequently grows up in a world where he sees women out of control. And so he takes it upon himself to set things right. Now, the reason we have the movie Dangerous Animals is because Tuck then takes this ideology a step further and decides he's going to torture and maim his victims by dangling them over chummed water. But similar attitudes about the natural order of human society exist throughout much of our Western culture. And that's the reason we have patriarchy. So I was going to include some clip here of a conservative pundit making some misogynist statement, but those are a dime a dozen. Now, I don't think most people would consider me a misogynist, but there's a subtlety to patriarchy that can creep its way into our social interactions. For instance, I sometimes use the word girl to refer to a woman whereas in the same scenario, I would use the word guy to refer to a man. Granted, this is fairly innocuous, but I think it's a great example of how pervasive patriarchy can be. And sometimes it's not even a conservative versus progressive thing. Part of the problem with patriarchy is that it's baked into how we operate in the world. Now, Tucker is someone who cares a lot. He cares about getting the right shot. He meticulously braids his victim's hair around fishing lures. He's obsessive. To care is human. Sharks don't care. They're ambivalent, neutral. They're not trying to find meaning in their existence. They just exist. However, our concept of what a shark is comes with what we project onto them. Apex predators, man-eaters, victims of our greed. Dangerous Animals gives us a representation of sharks closer to them as they exist, not as concepts of our collective unconscious, but as large fish with lots of teeth, keenly attuned to their environment, that sometimes attack people. As one reviewer put it, this isn't a shark movie. This is a serial killer movie where, in place of a knife, the killer uses sharks. So when we get to the climax and our hero falls in the water and she sees the great white swimming towards her, we expect a confrontation. But this isn't a woman versus shark movie. And when the shark comes closer, the tone changes. We realize, and our hero realizes, that the shark is just there to exist, not to serve a purpose. And to the movie's credit, they use footage of an actual shark for this scene, which makes it all the more impactful. Instead of some CGI monstrosity, we see the shark as she sees it. Curious, immense, scarred even. But this isn't the movie telling us that Zephyr is more like the shark than Tuck, because it's not about which character is the shark. The movie explores toxic masculinity through the use of sharks and lands on a point that some women may resonate with all too well. Of all the scary creatures waiting in the dark, a man might be one of the scariest.
I'm not your fool.